Hello everybody, welcome to today's stream where I am going to show you not only my super secret tool, but actually a really interesting for me at least, variation in the process of theory building from qualitative research. And this is a tool that I use very much, a process that I use very much, and that gets the credit for the core theorizing for my 2018 MS quarterly paper on transfiguration work. Okay, so as you can see on the screen arena, this tool is a thesaurus. Okay, a thesaurus, and basically a thesaurus is a dictionary of synonyms. Now, I use a very particular thesaurus, so which is very, very comprehensive. Have it here on the right. This is available in the App Store. I have it on my phone for ages. It's a previous version, not compatible with current iOS. Although I'm on the current iOS, so you can download it. But it's also I actually downloaded it from the Mac App Store, and I downloaded it for free. So I'm not sure it's because I have it on my phone or something. But I had to pay for it on my phone, like a couple of dollars. Okay, so and obviously libraries have thesaurus. Even the dictionary application on the Mac, the free one, has a synonym thesaurus. So, but this one I really like it because it's complete. Okay, and so what I want to do is I want to show you how I use this thesaurus for my transfiguration paper to come up with the theoretical framework, the analytical framework. And then after I do that, I'm going to discuss very briefly, short video today, I promise, Scott's word, very briefly how I think about this in theory building from qualitative data in general. Okay, so when I was analyzing the data for that paper, which is a paper about how the data that people use to do their job is becomes the data that their company uses for strategy making, decision making, analysis, and so on. I began with this idea that let me shift this here. I began with this idea that people had to record the data in the information system. So in my field setting, in my data, people would keep notes, information that they needed to do their job in paper notebooks, actually, in post-it notes and so on. You can read all about it in the paper. It's search for my name, Cunha, C-U-N-H-A, Transfiguration, MS Quarterly, and it will come up. And obviously, I'm happy to share the PDF of the pre-published PDF if you want. But anyway, so I realized that people were recording this data. This is not like a massive theoretical insight. Again, I'm not a genius, right? So people were recording the data. So what I do is when not only for this paper but for all my papers is when I come up with some core process that I see that is going on in my data, such as recording data in an information system, I just basically enter the word in the thesaurus, and and basically you'll see it will come with a bunch of words. So let me actually do it here. Okay, so record. Okay, so you see this like there's a lot of words. Okay, and I just looked at this list of words, and I landed on this one, transcribe. Okay, transcribe is just a synonym of recording, right? So you're transcribing your data from your paper notebook into the information system. But what I like about the word transcribe is that it has a root that is common with many other words, such as transform, transpose, transfigure, which ended up being the title of the paper. Okay, so what I did then is I just typed the root of this word and read through the list. Okay, so again, we can do it ourselves, right? You know, and here there's a big list, right? So I just read through the list, and obviously some words are not useful at all, most of them, such as transcend, but some other words were very useful. For example, this one, transfiguration, which is the word that gave the title of the paper. Okay? Transform, it's also a word that was useful for me because people were then working on these data to make them appropriate. So this was just not only record the data, but it was transforming them in a way that was palatable to the information system and ultimately to managers. Okay, so transform was interesting. Translating was also interesting. Transmute was also interesting. Transpose was also interesting. So a lot of interesting words. And basically then what I did is I looked at the synonyms for each word, but I also looked at the definition. So Rogers also has the definition, okay? So if you click here, you see synonyms. Where is it? Now I have the dictionary, right? So let's just put transaction here, okay? So it's a dictionary. So I looked at the definition, okay? And so actually, when I wrote the first draft of the paper, I came up with this idea of the transfiguration model, okay? Because overall the model was about turning this information that people used to do their work into information that was palatable and useful for managers. So that was this transfiguration, which is defined as, oops, no, sorry, keynote, press the wrong key. Okay, for being recent, writing tips. There we go. Sorry about that, guys, everybody. So, there we go. So, changing from one appearance state of phase to another. Well, this was what my paper was doing. So this was the name of the paper. And then initially I had transcribing, transposing, transforming, and transmuting. Okay? As my core concepts. Okay? Obviously, this is the final paper, so as the paper evolved, I changed the names of each of these concepts so that they would be closer to the data and closer to the phenomenon of information, the theory of information systems. But the core insight came from me going through this list of words, okay, and that share the root of with transfiguration, and just look at which of these words resonates with my data. And so if I had to feed part of my data into each of these words, transpose, transform, transcribe, and transfigure, what data would it be and how would this concept be defined, okay? And so many videos ago I talked about how I paint myself into a corner to brainstorm, to generate theory, and this is an example of that. It's basically, I'm looking at a list of words and say, what are some words that are related to my data, and then forcing myself to feed data into those words. And then you'd say, well, but isn't that, against the precepts of inductive qualitative research? And I would say no. Actually, this is what I would say a very creative variation of qualitative research, because I also discussed with you that, I'm not as smart as other people, but I'm very creative. I think that's like my research superpower is that I'm very creative. I'm good at like doing things like this. So if you think about the canonical specification of grounded theory, which is the main method for qualitative research, and many others, but let's just use grounded theory. There's the ground theory really talks about iterating, so going back and forth between data and theory, iterating between data and theory. So it's this process where you're thinking about the data. So the first idea of transcription of recording came from the data, but then you look at other theoretical concepts related to that concept of recording data, and you try to make sense of the rest of your data with that structure, and then come back to the data and try to induce variations or other categories and so on. Now, if you notice, what I'm doing here is that I'm not iterating with research papers, I'm iterating with a dictionary, with a thesaurus. So I'm looking at what are all of the meanings, all of the words that are in this meaning space of transcription, transposing, and so on. Anything that is about moving and changing things from one place to another, from the notebooks to the information system. What are all of the words is in this meaning space, and which ones make sense? Okay, so it's still an iterative process. So basically, the core insight for this video is just a very simple bit of advice, which is in this iterative process, I invite you to, instead of iterating with theory, with research on the topic that you're working on, at the moment when you're analyzing data and coding, instead iterate with the dictionary. Iterate with the entire, not just the meanings and the words that are used in the theory, but the entire set of words, right? And obviously, a root of a word means a lot, right? It's sort of an aggregating concept, right? Where trans is about passage, right? About transformation. Well, transformation, okay. About passage, about metamorphosis, right? And this is what I was studying. So this is the core concept, is this root, this linguistic root. So again, iterate with a dictionary rather than only iterate with theory, and you may find novel ideas for your data, just like I did. I mean, the idea of transfiguration came from looking at synonyms of the word record, which was the core phenomenon, the empirical phenomenon, what people were doing, okay? So that's my secret weapon, especially if you're somebody who's creative like me, who can really like fit data into words and concepts, paint yourself into a corner, then this may be a useful tool to generate theory. I use it every single time for every single paper. This is the paper where it had the most impact, but I have always found it insightful. Okay, so that's the thesaurus. This is the book. I've never opened this book, so I don't know if it is as complete as the as what's in the app. It may be. In the dictionary is not as complete. So you see here you have the English thesaurus. So if I put record, well, it does have a little bit. So maybe you can, but not. So there's no. You see the word transcribe is not here. Is it? I don't think it is. No, it's not here. So I would say you really want something as complete as possible. And if you open up Roget's, this specific thesaurus, you'll see like there are a lot of words that are really not entirely related, but it just throws everything, and it's great because it's good for inspiration. So try it out, and tap into your creativity. Hope this was helpful for everybody. We will talk again next week, but next week I think I'll have to skip my. Yes, I will have to skip my Tuesday because I have a very important meeting at work. But I will for sure be with everybody on Thursday. If there are any questions about writing, about research, or qualitative research, or careers, or academic writing in general that you have, ideas for new videos, things that you'd be curious about, please let me know on Twitter or on the comments of this video. Other than that, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe. If you like the video, just leave a comment, say I like the video, much appreciated. And thanks again, everybody. See you next week. Bye-bye.